I are getting ready to go to the beach today. Brad's going to go out to our beach house and trim some trees, and we're renting that out, so we're going to stay here in the van while we're there. But you know what? I want to take you guys along with us so that I can show you around Long Beach. It's a really cool place. I think you'll enjoy it. So come along for another Sqwatch Dog adventure. Right, Rykyr? Right. The Long Beach Peninsula is approximately 117 miles from downtown Portland and 171 miles from Seattle, Washington. From Portland, there are several ways to get there, but today I'm driving Highway 30 through Scappoose, St. Helens, Rainier, Clatskanie, and Astoria. It's a beautiful Riverview drive. Going up and over the Astoria Megler Bridge takes you from Oregon to Washington over the Columbia River. The views are absolutely breathtaking. At 4 miles in length, it's the longest contiguous truss bridge in North America. So the first town we're going to come to after we cross the bridge and drive through this tunnel is the tiny little town of Chinook. Chinook was once a wealthy salmon fishing town. Pacific County's first salmon cannery operated out of Chinook back in 1870. Then in 1890, a narrow gauge railway known as the Clamshell Railroad ran through downtown Chinook from Megler to Ilwaco on up the Long Beach Peninsula to Nakata. It was ripped out in 1931. The invention of the automobile and the automobile ferry was the beginning of the end for this railway. Traveling north on Sandridge Rd on the east side of the Long Beach Peninsula, we're going to drive along the scenic Willapa Bay. Here we're going to go through the tiny oyster processing town of Nakata before we hit the historic town of Oysterville. Oysterville was founded back in 1841 as an active oyster farming community. Oysterville also was once the county seat of Pacific County, but in 1893, all the county records were stolen and taken up to South Bend to make that town, which is located on the other side of the Willapa Bay, the county seat. South Bend remains the county seat to this very day. Oysterville is on the Register of Historic Places, and each historic home tells a story with a sign out front posted by the Daughters of the Pioneers. The town is also home to the Oysterville Sea Farms, where you can grab a glass of wine and enjoy some fresh oysters on the half-shell while overlooking the beautiful Willapa Bay. Now we're going to travel down Oysterville Road towards the ocean, which is approximately a mile away. And we're going to bump into the largest homeowners association in the state of Washington. Surfside Estates is home to over 2,000 property owners, which is a mix of stick-built homes, condos, and vacant lots where people can park their RVs during certain times of the year. Now, 80% of the properties here are owned by part-timers, while only 20% are full-timers. Our vacation home sits on a lake here in Surfside, and as a result, we get tons of wildlife in our yard, including deer, raccoon, and even black bear. Brad and I came out here to top some of the trees in our yard, as there is a tree height requirement of only 18 feet in our HOA. The ocean beach along the peninsula is pretty flat. As a result, motorists can drive up and down the beach. However, sections of the beach are closed to motor traffic during certain times of the year, with hopes of restoring the snowy plover bird population. The beach is 28 miles long, which is said to be the longest continuous beach in the United States. The beach is also a great recreation site for sports fishermen looking for surf perch and razor clams. A lot of people fly kites, beachcomb, birdwatch, play in the sand, walk in and out of the frigid waters. But here's a word of warning. You want to be careful, as the ocean is rough and riptides and sneaker waves are very dangerous in this area. You can also find seals, sea lions, and whales dotting the ocean waters every now and then. Rykyr loves the beach. He also loves to play in the beach grass along the shorelines. Where are you going? Where are you going, Ryky? Hi. Hi, pretty boy. A bit further north from Surfside, you can travel on Stackpole Road to Leadbetter State Park. This area is a natural preserve and butts up to the Willapa Bay National Wildlife Refuge. You are at the tip of the peninsula here, with the Pacific Ocean to the west and the Willapa Bay to the east. This is a fantastic place to birdwatch, hike, or beachcomb. However, the mosquitoes are pretty vicious in the late spring and early summer, so be prepared. You'll also need a Discovery Pass to park here. That pass is either $30 for the year or $10 for the day. So let's make our way down Pacific Way, otherwise known as Highway 103, where we'll run into Ocean Park. Founded back in 1883, this town was originally built as a religious respite for those who wanted to get away from the less than religious boomtown activities taking place in Oysterville. The town still has a Bible camp to the south and a Methodist camp to the north to this very day. Ocean Park is also home to Jack's Country Store. It's an historic store that basically has everything from groceries to housewares to fishing supplies to hardware. Chances are, if you need it, you're going to find it at Jack's. There's also a second grocery store in town called Oakey's Thriftway. Ocean Park is also home to Doc's Tavern, as well as several other restaurants and stores. All right, let's head approximately 15 miles down the peninsula, and we're going to run into the peninsula's namesake town of Long Beach. In 1880, Long Beach was originally a plotted piece of land that was purchased by a guy named Henry Tinker, who called it Tinkerville. The area was eventually incorporated in 1922, and that's when they called it Long Beach. Long Beach is the largest town on the peninsula, and it's home to lots of fun activities in the summer, like the International Kite Festival, the Sand Carving Contest, and the Razor Clam Festival, which has been going on since 1940. Back in 1941, the festival made the world's largest frying pan so they could make a huge clam fritter. That pan is now on display in the downtown area. Long Beach is also home to Marsh's Free Museum, which has all sorts of oddities inside, including a tank that contains Jake the Alligator Man, who is supposed to be a mummified creature that is part alligator and part human. There are lots of fun things for the entire family, like a mini golf course, racing carts, horse riding tours, and so much more. You can even take a lovely stroll along the boardwalk. So now we're going to head a little further south, and we're going to find the unincorporated town of Seaview. This was a popular summer home place back in the 1880s for many Portlanders who traveled here by steamboat and horse and buggy. If you love to hike or bike, you are thoroughly going to enjoy the Discovery Trail. It starts in the town of Ilwaco and travels 8.5 miles through Beards Hollow and along the ocean front through Seaview and Long Beach, and finally ends near the breakers on the north end of Long Beach at a bronze tree statue that is supposed to be a replica of a tree where William Clark from the Lewis and Clark expedition carved his initials more than 200 years ago. So one of the stops that we're going to make along the Discovery Trail is the Northhead Lighthouse. This lighthouse is one of two lighthouses on the peninsula. The other is the Cape Disappointment Lighthouse, which was built back in 1856. Cape Disappointment is still an active lighthouse to this very day. The Northhead Lighthouse was built in 1897 after mariners who were coming in from the north couldn't see the Cape Disappointment Lighthouse because it was obstructed by the headlands. The lighthouse keepers' homes at the Northhead Lighthouse are available to rent. You can also tour the Northhead Lighthouse in the top of the structure and learn all about its history. Meanwhile, the Cape Disappointment Lighthouse is closed to the public, but you can walk right up to the lighthouse and take in its dramatic views. On the way up, you can hike down to Deadman's Cove. And if you are at Cape Disappointment in the late summer or early fall, you're most likely going to see lots of fishing boats below as fishermen try to catch salmon at the famous Buoy 10. Near the Cape Disappointment Lighthouse, we can walk to the Lewis and Clark Interpretive Center, which is a museum honoring the accomplishments of the Corp of Discovery, as well as the Native American people known as the Chinook Indians, who lived here long before the arrival of Lewis and Clark. On our way to both lighthouses and Interpretive Center, we can see the Army coastal fortifications that were built prior to World War I to protect the U.S. from enemy invaders. This is Battery Harvey Allen. That was part of Fort Canby, which was built back in 1863 and operated until the end of World War II. Once again, you'll need a discovery pass to park at the lighthouses and the Interpretive Center. The last town on our list is Ilwaco, which is a port town along the Columbia River. The town was named for Chinook Indian leader Ilwaco Jim back in 1851. This port is home to many fishing boats and fishing guide companies. They also host a Saturday market in the summer where artisans and farmers sell their wares. There are also several art galleries, restaurants, and even a hotel at the port. Finally, remember that tunnel that we drove through at the beginning of the video? Well, you are not going to believe what's on top of that tunnel. It's Fort Columbia. This old fort is now a state park and historic preserve just outside of Chinook. The fort was built back in 1896 as part of a defensive strategy in concert with Fort Canby and Fort Stevens in Oregon to protect the mouth of the Columbia River. It was transferred to the state as surplus after World War II. We sure hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe to our channel so that you can see more videos just like this one. Meanwhile, happy trails.